Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Economist digital event and to our next panel discussion, Green Energy, Sustainability at the Heart of Economic Transformation. My name is Joan Hoey. I'm the Regional Director for Europe at the Economist Intelligence Unit, and I'm your chair for this panel. And we've got three great speakers who I'd like to introduce now in turn. Dirk Hendricks, Secretary General of the European Renewable Energies Federation, Simone Mori, Head of Europe and Executive Vice President of Enel Group, and Nicholas Theodosiou, the Chair of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, Black Sea. Welcome, all of you. Thank you very much for joining us for this very important discussion. Each of you are going to speak for about 4 minutes, and that will leave us plenty of time for questions and discussion. So let's go straight over to start with your introductory remarks. First of all, Mr. Hendricks, would you like to kick us off?
John, thank you for giving me the word. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for having me here today. Concerning our question here for this session about how the pandemic has affected our perception of sustainability, we see that there have been quite some changes, and it has indeed infected our perception about this. If you see that now sustainability is kind of like much more regarded nowadays to become resilient, to make our societies resilient, specifically in times of crisis, we see that sustainability has been endorsed as a kind of like new growth strategy, specifically for the European Union. I will come to that a little bit later. And in addition to that, sustainability is regarded as a kind of like prerequisite to reduce the probability of future crisis situations, such, for example, as climate change or zoonotic diseases like COVID that we face for the moment. We also realize that the acceptance of sustainability and, for example, also the need for an energy system transformation towards green energy has increased, specifically if you see how industry has reacted, but I mean also it has arrived kind of like in the center of our society. We see that we have a major support there, and the political discussions that we can observe, for example, here at EU level, are more about how fast this change towards a green energy system should be, rather than questioning if there should be a change at all. We also see that, for example, on local level, that citizens are taking matters in their own hand and become more active and also want to contribute more actively to sustainability. What we see is we have a number of citizens initiatives and specifically renewable energy communities and cooperatives that are now spreading out all over Europe and becoming, the numbers are fast increasing, what we have seen here in our work. The shift or the idea to shift here towards more green economy is not really very new. In fact, we had it already with the oil crisis beginning of the 70s, the calls of the Club of Rome. We had the Rio Conventions in the beginning 90s, the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. And we see now that the pandemic that we face, as bad as it is indeed, acts actually as a catalyst to speed up this energy system transformation that we have. And it shows specifically impressively, and I guess this is also important, decision makers realize that such a shift and the necessary changes that come along with regard to our economic pattern, how we produce electricity, energy, are much easier done and than originally envisaged. They are economically feasible, and our societies are able to do this much faster than originally has hoped for. As mentioned, the EU has acknowledged this development and endorsed it in the EU Green Deal as a kind of like new EU growth strategy. And here to summarize, the pandemic has definitely challenged our economic and business models and our way to produce electricity, and it has specifically accelerated the energy system transformation. And I guess that we should endorse this change and regard it also as positive advantages and even enriching, as several studies has, for example, shown with regard to new job creation, local wealth creation. And therefore, my recommendation is here to fully endorse and commit to sustainability with no regret policies, a clear phase out of conventional energy, and most importantly, kind of like new economic and market frameworks to allow new business and investment possibilities into green energy. Looking forward to discuss the questions and answering the questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Hendricks. Well, that's a great start, addressing that central question of how our views of the pandemic has changed our attitudes towards sustainability enacted as an accelerant of existing trends.